After Capcom ran 2 closed betas for Street Fighter 6, many players were going through the backdoor and getting unauthorized access to the beta files and playing the game. And after outcry from the community, they have finally made a statement about this. Capcom fighters on Twitter put out this statement reading, "It has come to our attention that some users have been accessing the Street Fighter 6 closed beta test software and playing the game outside the designated period. This is a violation of the CBT Terms of Service and can be seen as a violation of the Capcom Pro Tour Code of Conduct. For the avoidance of doubt, from this point forward, any player who is shown with clear evidence to be accessing the CBT in any unauthorized way may be deemed ineligible for the upcoming Capcom Pro Tour and Street Fighter League seasons. We appreciate your cooperation and understanding in helping maintain the fairness and competitive integrity of our competitions." This is a firm stance on how they plan to deal with anyone who accesses the cracked beta but also enters their tournaments. So I want to go deeper in explaining what this means while also giving my point of view on this stance. What does it mean to access the CBT software or the cracked beta? If you were part of the Street Fighter 6 closed beta and you tried to access it outside of the time frame for the closed beta, you would not be able to access the files. And some people have found ways to go through the backdoor, allowing you to access the software for the closed beta and getting to certain parts of the game without actually accessing the game. So while the closed beta is not accessible, some mods do exist that allow you to get to certain parts of the game like Training Room or even Versus Mode. Even if you took part in the closed beta on PlayStation, this would not be accessible for you. It would be only for PC. Capcom has announced that they're going to have a prize pool of $2 million for the next season of the Capcom Pro Tour. So if you use the crack and I don't, obviously you have more of an advantage than I do. Many notable players like Momochi have come out recently and said if you use the crack beta, you shouldn't be allowed to enter any Capcom Pro Tour events. In response to Momochi's statement, Arturo Sanchez, or NYC Furby, posted this on Twitter. "Remember in the 90s when we had to pay import taxes on Japanese releases of fighting games? Remember when we had to import Japanese arcade PCBs for thousands of dollars just to keep up with the Japanese scene and not be left behind for over a year plus? I remember. Adapt." And although fighting games that come out now have global releases at the same time, that wasn't too far ago. Take Street Fighter 4, the game that I started in. According to the old Google machine, the coin-operated arcade game version was released in Japan on July 18, 2008, with North American arcades importing the machines by August. And to make a further point, the home versions were released on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 on February 12th for the Japanese release, February 16th for North America, and February 20th for Europe. Yes, even in the release, the Japanese got the game 4 days earlier. So there's two sides to this. One side is saying, hey, you shouldn't be able to play this game early and get an unfair advantage. And the other side is saying, well, I mean, to be fair, y'all had an advantage for a long time. And I'm going to give my point of view on this in a second, but I want to first talk about what Capcom plans to do and how they plan to do it. So according to Capcom's statement, using this software outside the designated period is a violation of the CBT terms and can be seen as a violation of the Capcom Pro Tour Code of Conduct. And from this point forward, any player who is shown with clear evidence to be accessing the CBT in an unauthorized way may be deemed ineligible for an upcoming Capcom Pro Tour and Street Fighter League seasons. And there's two parts to this. First, this point forward, and the second is clear evidence. This is a little unclear. If they find out a month ago that someone was streaming the closed beta test crack, would they take action? And what do they see as clear evidence? Would it be Twitter clips? Would it be stream highlights? Would it be YouTube videos? Are they going to be looking for these things? Are they going to accept tips from people saying, hey, that guy over there, he's got the crack? It is a bit strange that Capcom is going to take that stance today when the closed beta first round came out, I don't know, 6 months ago? I mean, this software has been out for a really long time, and they kind of dragged their feet on this announcement. So why take it a month away from when they plan to drop the game? And we've seen from the demo of Street Fighter 6 that, well, certain things were changed from the betas. That build is really old. So yes, you do get a chance to learn how the game plays and get used to system mechanics. But by the time the game comes out, who knows what the game will look like? It still is an advantage. And even me, who played in both closed betas, I only played for about 6 days, and I have such an advantage over other players who didn't get a chance to play. Capcom, you're a bit late on this. It's been months. The damage has already been done. So how do I feel about it? If you've seen some of my tweets, you know that my tongue is directly in cheek, but kind of don't care. My last tweet about this said, but they're playing the crack. Grow up. It's not that I don't understand the advantage that people are going to have. I just think that it's a little overblown. Let's take a step back and go to the release of Street Fighter V. The streets are saying some people had access to a crack similar to the Street Fighter 6 one, back then. And I'm not saying nothing about nothing. I don't know anything about anyone doing anything. However, the streets are saying the people that were doing really well at the start of Street Fighter V were using a cracked version of Street Fighter V early on. So then I ask, what's the difference between the two? And the answer is a little messy. From the start of Street Fighter V to the end of Street Fighter V, we saw a huge migration of players going from console to PC. And at the start of Street Fighter V, not many people were on PC. Whereas at the start of Street Fighter VI, we have a huge community of PC fighting game players. It seemed to be the best way to play fighting games at the current time. You get a more consistent frame rate, you get better refresh rates, and you just get a better connection overall. It's to the point that people were playing on PC, and then they were forced to practice on PlayStation 4 for tournaments because it was such a big change. So there's more Street Fighter 6 cracked beta users than Street Fighter 5 cracked beta users because there's more people on PC in 2023 than there was in 2016. Also, there's $2 million on the line, and that's a much bigger prize pool than it was in Street Fighter 5. But let's take a look at this phrase, in the interest of fairness. Well, who's to say what fair is? Let's look at that last phrase again. The fairness and competitive integrity of our competitions. A few weeks back, we saw Capcom make a similar statement about leverless controllers, saying that they wanted to maintain integrity and fairness for their events. I made a video about this and I said that their heart's in the right place, but their head might not be. In their chase for integrity and fairness, they made a change to hitbox controllers that made it unfair, but in a different way. So the change that they went away from they thought was unfair, but the change that they went to is still unfair, just in a different way. I would make the argument that in competition, it's never fair, but I can understand their hope to try to even it out as much as possible. Do I think it's the right thing to do for Capcom to make this statement? I think they kind of have to. I think their backs are against the wall and they have to put this statement out. Since we're talking about fairness, they did run 2 closed beta tests and they have yet to announce an open beta test. So if you didn't get into that closed beta, guess what? You're going to be behind everyone else who did. I played a lot during the closed beta test. In those 6 days, I think I clocked in about 50 to 60 hours. And if you didn't get into it, you're behind 50 to 60 hours on your boy. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. You see what I'm saying? And what do we say about the people who didn't get selected for the closed beta but found some way to get into the closed beta? Is that an unfair advantage? Or what about the people who didn't get selected and just went to a friend's house? Was that unauthorized access of the beta? And even if it is, grow up. The advantages that people are going to have, yes, I think they're going to carry over from maybe the first season. But once that first patch comes around, I do think it's going to even out very quickly. And most of you who watch this, you're not going to win the $1 million. And hell, a lot of you guys probably don't even have aspirations of doing so. But to the very few who are in contention of it, they have to draw that line for. I guess the part of this that upsets me is not even that they took the stance, but it's more so how the community is taking a stance against this. There's a lot of people out there who cry unfair, and I'm like, dog, you're not going to win $1 million. But these are the same people that when they lose, they're probably going to get upset and go, that person probably used a cracked beta. That combo was too optimal. And that's really the danger of it. It's going to cause discord in the community. Because my days of competition are over. I just want to provide content for you guys and teach you guys how to enjoy fighting games. Capcom could drop an open beta next week, and I'll be honest, it would kind of even the playing field. I know the game's going to come out soon, but screw it. I might be completely off base about this, so tell me how you guys feel in the comments section below. But it kind of feels like we're talking about what controllers we can use and who's using the cracked beta. It feels like an option select that people are trying to set up right now for a game that hasn't even come out because they know they're not going to win and they're not going to be able to keep up, and they need something to take away from the people who beat them. It's a very interesting situation, and I can't wait to see how it plays out. But I do wish people would chill and people would just come together as a community instead of trying to rip each other apart about things like this. But I still understand the sentiment of wanting things to be fair. Does that make sense? I think it best sums up my point in that there's a lot of the pot calling the kettle black going around. You feel me? If you got this far, you obviously liked the video, so hit the like button to let me know. And subscribe for more content like this. I'll see you guys soon. June 2nd cannot come soon enough. I hope to see you all in Street Fighter 6. Have a good one. I'll see you guys soon.